Title: The Reel in the Dark. It was the summer of '97 when 13-year-old Sam Jones stumbled across the old VHS tapes in the attic. The family had just moved into the creaking Victorian house at the end of Willow Creek Lane, a place rich with stories and secrets. Dust and cobwebs clouded the air, but curiosity uncoiled like a vine in Sam's heart as he rummaged through forgotten relics, each holding the promise of discovery. Among the dusty boxes and faded photographs, Sam found a nondescript cardboard box, labeled simply with the word, Reels. Intrigued, he pried it open and revealed several gray, unmarked tapes. It was strange. He'd never heard of any movies that didn't have their titles printed on them. He could barely read the names of films playing on the television these days, but this was different. These belonged to an era before sound and color, and a shiver ran down his spine. A thrill pulsed through him. It felt like a hidden treasure. Sam's friends, Lydia and Josh, were over that evening, and he knew they'd appreciate this find. The three of them gathered around the family's old VHS player, laughter echoing down the halls as they loaded the first tape. The film whirled to life, colors flickering wildly until a picture emerged. Grim faces stared back at them from the screen, a black and white scene of a crowded theater, filled with ecstatic moviegoers. But as the reels rolled on, the faces morphed into panic and horror. It didn't take long before they realized this was no ordinary film. There was something out of sync about the projection, the frames jittering with eerie distortion that left an uncomfortable pit in their stomachs. Lydia gasped, "What is this? It looks like they're trapped." "Maybe it's just some weird avant-garde film," Josh muttered, though they all knew this wasn't normal. They sat, transfixed, watching as the screen dissolved into chaos. The theater goers began to scream, the sound only warping into gibberish, unable to escape this horrific loop. Then, the screen went black. "What a letdown," Sam said, shaking off a wave of dread. "Let's try another one." Minutes later, they pressed play on the second tape. This one started in darkness, and slowly a figure emerged. An old man, visibly trembling as he walked down a desolate street lit by flickering lampposts. He mumbled something incoherent, and Sam felt a chill creep over him. The old man turned his head sharply towards the camera, his eyes wide and unsettling, as though he could see them through the screen. Lydia shrieked, "Turn it off, I don't like this," but Sam was entranced, caught in the hypnotic pull of the unknown. Just before he could reach for the remote, an agonizing scream echoed through the room, not from the tape but all too real. The sound of their basement door slamming shut sent a shockwave through the trio. Josh leapt up. "Did you hear that?" "Probably just the house settling," Sam said, but his heart raced. The atmosphere thickened and suffused with an ominous energy. The lights flickered as the old woman from the third tape appeared on-screen, her gnarled fingers trembling. Her cracked lips whispered, "You shouldn't have found us. Leave now." The images twisted, faces contorting into grotesque masks of terror before she vanished. Sam was paralyzed, his hand still hovering over the play button. Lydia backed away from the screen. "No more. We need to stop. Just one more," he insisted, his voice a mixture of defiance and fear. A darker part of him longed to see where it led. Reluctantly, they queued up the last tape, their breaths bated. The screen lit up, revealing a foggy forest, much to their disbelief. A bone-chilling whisper emanated from the speakers, calling Sam's name. It felt intimate, familiar. Sam. The hairs on the back of his neck stood tall as shadows lurked in the treetops. The camera panned wider, revealing the body of a boy, his own likeness slumped against a tree, eyes lifeless yet eerily reflective, staring directly at Sam. "What the?" he breathed, panic clawing at his throat. The forest vibrated with a sound that echoed in the chambers of his mind, a desperate cry that pleaded for help. Suddenly, static filled the room. The lights flickered one last time, and when they returned, the screen emitted a final, piercing scream before everything went dead. Sam felt an icy hand wrap around his heart. They rushed to turn off the VHS player, but the remote had vanished. The room felt alive, closing in on them as shadows lunged and twisted around, tethering them to their seats. The world around them blurred, collapsing into darkness. And then, silence. Moments later, dawn crept through the attic windows, illuminating the cluttered space. Sam blinked, Disoriented, the lost tapes strewn about like discarded memories. But he wasn't alone. A figure stood at the far edge of the room, an outline barely visible in the daylight. Lydia and Josh were gone. The shadows pillaged the attic like a slow tide, whispers echoing in Sam's ears, promises of secrets and terror. He reached for the tapes, but a voice chilled his spine. "You shouldn't have watched, you shouldn't have stayed?" With a sudden realization, Sam understood. The films had drawn him into a world he was never meant to inhabit, a realm of the unseen. And now they were part of him, just as he was destined to be part of them. Days turned to weeks, and no one spoke of that summer again. The old house was abandoned, the attic sealed off, and rumors of haunted tales swirled through the town. But in shadowy corners, where dust met silence, a faint flicker of projection could still be seen, a lone hand waving, a desperate cry for escape. Eternally uploaded, unaired, forgotten.